Where to begin? The last trip we made to France for the Christmas, New Year vacation, as you true believing Christians might call it. For us, it wasn't Christmas at all. For us, we celebrated a completely different holiday involving a completely different white-bearded man and not Santa. Let me tell you, regular viewers of this channel will know we worked real hard to provide an alternative to Christmas. The same way we as vegans are used to providing an alternative to so many things. Fox hunting, bear wrestling, vegan bear wrestling. Buy your tickets now. I just got an email from a friend in Hong Kong saying he was going to go to a horse racing event. Trying to talk him through the vegan alternatives to horse racing. I was like, you know, at the end of every race, some percentage of these horses get shot and eaten. It's literally true. Anyway, so yeah, as vegans, we're accustomed to providing alternatives for the whole family. And we provide an alternative to Christmas. On this last trip to France for the Christmas, New Year holiday, we had papers to serve the Mac's wife. We had divorce papers. And legally, what we were supposed to do was see her face to face and hand her these papers. And if she had just done that, if she had just been willing to accept the papers, the divorce would be in progress now. And it is not because she refused to accept the papers. I can show you email substantiating this, but there's a sense in which when you're talking about something that didn't happen, there's not going to be a lot of proof or evidence, right? So we take a step back here. I really genuinely believe in freedom of speech. There's been a lot of really phony crocodile tears on the internet lately about freedom of speech and what it means and what it doesn't. I genuinely accept the price of being a political figure on the internet, however infinitesimal my political significance may be. I understand what I'm doing here. I knew what I was signing up for, and I'm not going to come crying to you, oh, my ex-father-in-law came on the internet and said I'm a failure. Like, what, dude? What do you think? What do you think? Would you rather live in a country like the Communist Republic of Laos, People's Republic of Laos, where you don't have the freedom to do this? Let me tell you something, real short story from Laos. I knew a guy, white Canadian guy, and in a cafe, in a coffee shop, he said to another white foreigner, he said, look, you should know this guy you're friends with and this family you're getting involved with, this guy you're friends with, he just got out of prison on a rape charge. He was convicted of rape. And he was brought into court for daring to say this. It was 100% factual. What he said was completely correct. He was saying this person was convicted of rape and served his time and just got out of jail. And, he was advising someone, he was warning someone, you may not know this. This guy's a convicted rapist. And do you have the freedom of speech to say that? To damage someone's reputation, to talk about their private life that way? Here in Canada, you do. In a communist country, specifically a communist country with Buddhist heritage like Laos, very different cultural attitudes, you do not. I have my choice. I could live anywhere. Laos, Cuba, Saudi Arabia. There's so many alternatives to democracy over me. And yet I choose to live in a democracy where we have the freedom of speech to do this, to engage in these conversations. And I don't think freedom of speech is only for intelligent people. I don't think it's only for sane people. I don't think it's only for people who are factually correct. If you really believe in freedom of speech in principle, then you have to believe that crazy people have freedom of speech and people who are just wrong, right? Now, in this case, I know you guys think this impacted me negatively, emotionally. I've said repeatedly now, you have no idea how much I was laughing at the lies in this video that my ex-father-in-law made. It's funnier to me, partly because I really know the extent to which he's lying. But I know something else also. If we're going to make a Venn diagram here, a Venn diagram is one of those diagrams with overlapping circles. It's a graphical convention. There's a circle for intentional lying. And when people say something inaccurate or incorrect on the internet, it's really easy to jump to the conclusion that they're intentionally lying. So my ex-father-in-law, Peter, he made this claim that the reason why the divorce hasn't happened is because I have refused to sign paperwork. And this is not just false. It's really 180 degrees the opposite. The reason why the divorce isn't done yet is because my ex-wife has evaded and avoided dealing with divorce paperwork. I mean, I could say more, but that example from that vacation, it's a very direct, very tangible example where we went to see her once to deliver the paperwork. We had email afterwards saying, look, please show up in person on this date so we can serve you these papers and we can move forward with the divorce. And she intentionally and knowingly refused to receive the papers, knowing what that would do. So it's true story. What am I going to tell you? I don't assume he's lying, right? That's one circle on the diagram, would be intentionally lying. Another circle is ignorance. Another circle is just not knowing what you're talking about. And again, to me, that's another reason why I just find the audience for this kind of dark drama content so laughable. This guy doesn't even claim to know what he's talking about. He doesn't claim he's seen the divorce documents. He doesn't claim he's talked to his daughter about this. I don't believe Mireille puts up with any of his crap. I don't think he seems to know nothing about the past history of the case or the current situation legally, and he knows nothing because people are choosing not to confide in him. Notably, his own daughter does not trust him or does not want him to know this stuff. He's speaking of complete ignorance. He doesn't claim he's spoken to me. He doesn't claim he's been to court or gotten it. He doesn't claim any kind of positive engagement or involvement in these issues, past or present. And again, he has no sources. He's not showing you emails or legal documents or anything else. So there's ignorance. And then the third circle on this Venn diagram, the three circles all overlap, is when people are really deluded, when people are really crazy, when people are outright insane. And those people also aren't intentionally lying. We deal with this on the internet all the time. They may really sincerely believe they're telling you the truth. They may really sincerely believe they know what they're talking about, and they don't know because they're a little bit out of touch with reality, which is obviously a big factor here, both for Pete and for his tireless journalistic correspondent there, Norwegian. So for the audience, look, guys, there's the opposite to these three things also, okay? There are people who come on the internet with bad intentions who openly tell you they don't know what they're talking about and they have bad intentions and they're here to just blacken and condemn someone's character cynically or dishonestly, and then they go ahead and do that. What's their testimony worth with no sources and no claim to knowing anything and so on? It should be pretty easy for intelligent members of the audience to take this for what it's worth, by which I mean dismiss it out of hand as being of absolutely no informational or advisory value. Okay? And there are people who come on the internet with good intentions, trying to inform you, trying to share information, share their own life experience, share their own opinions, or what have you. And, those people are also going to be wrong sometimes. That's why freedom of speech is so important. I mean, and they can learn. I've been wrong about things and I've learned from my mistakes here on YouTube. And again, I've spent so much time on YouTube talking about mistakes I made in my own life and really being self-critical and really talking about my own failures. This idea that I'm someone who needs to be taken down a peg in these respects. Again, it's coming from people who openly tell you they don't watch any of the videos on my channel. They don't read anything I've written. They don't know anything about my work experience. They don't know anything about the time I spent with my daughter. They don't know anything about the legal situation with the divorce. They don't know anything, but now they're going to tell you this salacious and hidden, narrative on the basis of what? So look, if their claims about me were true, there still is a real onus on the audience here to think clearly about the situation. So let's say, hypothetically, it were true that I was refusing to sign some legal document related to divorce. You think there'd be no reason for that? Like, do you think there wouldn't be a rational okay, maybe I was presented with a document and my lawyer told me, no, don't sign it, go to court. Like, if you read newspapers, if you read history, if you read politics, you must know of all kinds of real world examples of this sort of thing where maybe someone's presented with a legal document and they refuse it. Now, this is ironic. I'm just saying that's not my situation. And again, there are no legal documents I can show you because we're talking about an absence here. I went through my email history with my lawyer. I have an email from my lawyer saying, no, we've never received any proposal from the lawyers on the other side. There's never been a proposed divorce document or settlement or custody arrangement or anything from their side. I have made positive proposals for everything, including I made positive proposals for paying child support, and I can prove that. And it's all just email history. None of it was by telephone, so we have a paper trail and a precise date and a reply for all these things. Given that in this case, hilariously, I'm making this video in response to the allegation that I've refused to divorce my ex-wife, and the reality of the legal situation we're in right now is that my ex-wife refuses to divorce me. Why? I don't assume. I assume there's some reason. It may be a bad reason. It may be a terrible reason. But there was a moment, a lot of you guys will remember from Vegan Cheetah's channel, back when Vegan Cheetah was at the height of his fame, when he reported he had a telephone call from Mireille, from ex-wife. Mireille phoned him on an old-fashioned telephone. And he answered the phone, and he was just trying to figure out who this was. He says, who is this? And he says, oh, what, you're Isol's ex-wife? And reportedly, she screamed back at him angrily, I'm his wife. I'm still his wife now. We're not divorced. I mean, he told the whole world that. Like, it's not just like he told me. But when he told me that, it's like, psychologically, and in terms of her motivation and her perspective, I cannot imagine what motivated that. Like, you've been separated from me for years. We've both moved on with our lives. There's no possibility of reconciliation. Again, it's both in the legal documents from court, and everyone knows I dumped her. I made the decision to end the relationship. That was how it ended. She did not dump me. I did not want to reconcile. I did not want to get back together with her. But that she phoned up Charles. She phoned up Little Cheetah. And she screamed at him at the phone, no, I'm not his ex-wife. I'm his wife right now. There's some real pathos there. There's something going on. And I don't want to ridicule her for it. And I don't want to speculate on what motivates it. I notice all of her websites have just disappeared within the last week or a couple of weeks. She's been deleting her web presence. You guys may know she had several websites up with current photographs of her and stuff, less than a month ago. Those websites are still up. I don't know what motivates that. To my knowledge, my ex-wife is now, in effect, married to her second husband, and they plan to live in Bulgaria, and she's either pregnant with or has already given birth to. To my knowledge, she's given birth to her second child. So she's moving on with her life in so many ways. I mean, it's really a topic for a separate video. I have a lot of sympathy for, what happened with her professional career. Again, it's so toxic what Pete did with this, with Pete presenting the world as if either you have a PhD and you're successful, or you don't have a PhD and you're a failure. And in a lot of fields, that's not true, including Pete's own field, computer programming. Most successful computer programmers, especially his generation, they had no formal education. They didn't get a computer science degree. There was that, path-breaking generation of computer programmers. But Buddhist studies, like humanitarian work, the stuff that interests me, politics, are most important people in politics. Do they have PhDs in politics? The stuff that interests me, academia is pretty weak on, and this is pretty well known. But then beyond that, the tragedy is his own daughter. And we have this in the court documents, exactly how little money she earned. She had a PhD from Cambridge University. She had the most elite education possible, basically at every stage of her life. Primary school, high school, first Oxford, then Cambridge. And, she was earning nothing. She was getting these... I could digress into all the people I've known with PhDs who were making less than minimum wage. We had a professor at University of Saskatchewan who said he would make more money as a bus driver, and then he went ahead and actually did it. And the whole university was shocked because they had just assumed he was going to show up and teach class on September 10th, the start of the next semester, and then he wasn't there. And he said, what, did you think I was joking? Like I said at the last department meeting, I could, you don't pay me enough. I could make more as a bus driver. So we did it. He left his position as a professor at a university with a PhD to become a bus driver. And I think in that province, bus drivers were quite well paid. And we have another friend who, I don't know the exact amount now, but she told me a couple of years ago she has a PhD, and her rent was about $1,100 a month, and her income was $1,000 a month. She's not a full professor. She's a university instructor or an adjunct professor. They make up these terms and excuses. But I mean, dude, having a PhD is not success. It doesn't mean you're respected in your field. Doesn't mean you're a successful author. Doesn't mean you can publish a book and have people read your books. It doesn't mean you can upload a YouTube video and have just 1,000 people who care to listen to your opinion about politics. And my whole life I've been surrounded by these people with PhDs. And a lot of them tell me, not everyone, but a lot of them tell me, wow, I can't believe you can do a video. Sometimes it's something really specific. I do a video, my critique of Noam Chomsky about Cambodian politics, and I really reach an audience that wants to hear that. And they say, wow, because their experience is they work so hard and they get this PhD and they go to academic conferences and they never reach an audience and nobody cares about their ideas. And, they have a lot of frustration and disappointment, both financially and otherwise. But yeah, it's really sad to see Pete playing this game where he wants to present his daughter as this great success in contrast to my failure. Pete, have you put your own daughter's name into Google? It's a tragedy, Pete. It's a tragedy what happened to your daughter. And she invested so many years of her life and so much money in getting this PhD. And as of the last I heard, she was trying to scrape out a living in marketing. It didn't look convincing, that website. Now that website is gone. And, she's long since given up on publishing books or doing research or having any kind of career in anthropology, whether as a professor or researcher. Anthropology was what her PhD is. And it's a really tragic story. It's a really cautionary tale. And my own life, I spent a lot of time on this channel examining my failures, examining bad decisions I made. And I think it's great that on the internet, other people can come on and make a YouTube video criticizing the decisions I made also. I criticize the decisions James Aspie makes. I criticize the decisions Earthling Ed makes. I criticize the decisions all kinds of other people make. And my criticisms, let's think about that Venn diagram, not insane, not ignorant, not, mean-spirited, not no bad intentions. It's a different caliber. Questions of good taste involved also. But, no one could be more welcoming or prepared than me than to hear exactly a discussion of, the disappointments and dead ends of Western academia, whether in England, Canada, the United States, Yeah, let's talk about it. That's what this channel's all about. And I've never been coming on the internet and saying, oh yeah, I'm a great success as a baker. I went to baking college, guys. I said it was a disaster. I'm out here talking about the disaster. I'm talking about the setbacks in my life. So look, guys, if you believe in freedom of speech, know this. This right here, this is the price of fame at any level. Micro fame can have all the disadvantages of fame and none of the advantages. There are 5,000 people who know my name, whatever the number is, but guess what? I live under that spotlight, and at any time, my ex-wife's father can come on the internet and say I'm a piece of crap. One of my ex-girlfriends could come on the internet and say I'm a piece of crap. I have to live under that weight at all times, and I have to live with the consequences. Not of my actions, and not of fictional made-up stories other people make up about my actions. I have to live ultimately with the consequences of the credulity and stupidity of the audience. Whether or not you're cut out for this life, the choice is yours.